And this is what we call Flat Earth Friday. Yeah. And we get a chance to kind of share about the flat earth. And I'm excited about the flat earth because, it's so fascinating because the fact that we've actually been deceived for our whole life. But I was talking to some kids today and I actually showed them my book because, again, there were some kids that were on, at the Christian school that we have. They were off from school. And what we have is we have a daycare, kind of like a before and after care, And we, since people are not back in school, since some of the young people are not back in school, it just happened to be at our center because we run a daycare. And some of the kids were asking me about my book, and I said, well, told one little girl that, about her ability to write. This little girl, she was really good. She reads and she writes very well. And I said, well, you should start out young. And so she was asking me about, my book, Graven Image. And I just showed it to her that, you can promote it right there on Amazon if you want to promote your books or whatever you decide you was going to promote. Then the kids started talking about the flat earth. And, here's the thing. I didn't really say anything to them about it. So, I don't know. So anyway, just like to say hello to everyone that's with us and hi to everyone. And first of all, let me just make sure, can everybody hear me fine? Because we started out, you weren't able to hear me in the very beginning, but I still see some of the people like Deborah Bates saying audio. Deborah, are you able to hear me now? Hopefully that you are. Tiger Lily, hello. Opposition Series, hello. Harvey Brex, hello. Plane of Confusion, hi. And let's see who else is on here. Shelly Felino, good day. Yeah, okay, so you guys are able to hear. So that's fine. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you for that Opposition Series. Good evening. Yeah, Shelly, you can hear me. Good. All right. Well, I just want to make sure that I thought so. I could see that the indicator light was on. Sometimes when the indicator light is off, that means that I was fiddling around with the computer before and forgot to turn the indicator light back on. Anyway, Psalms chapter 75, verse 3 says this, that the earth and all of its inhabitants thereof are dissolved. And get the second part. The second stanza is where we want to go. I bear up the pillars of it, the earth, is what the Lord says in Psalm 75, verse 3. So there's proof that the earth has pillars. Psalms 93, verse 1. The Lord reigneth, and he clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed in strength, wherewith he has girded himself. The world also is established, that it cannot be moved. How about that? Hi from England, Deborah Powers. Hello to you. The earth cannot be moved, according to Psalms 93. 1, and according to Psalms 75 and 3, the earth has pillars, right? Let's go to the next one here. Psalms 102, verse 18 through 25. This shall be written for generations to come, and the people which shall be created shall praise the Lord. I suppose we're the generations to come, right? Hi, Candy. How you doing, Candy Riser? Hello. God bless you. I've been enjoying all of your feedback. opposition series. Hello? Anyway, it says here, for he looked down from the heights of his sanctuary. This is what the Lord does in Psalms 102, verse 18. He looks down from the height of his sanctuary. From heaven did the Lord behold the earth, to hear the groaning of the prisoner and to loose those who are appointed to death, to loose them. That's what God wants to do. Of old, thou hast laid the foundations of the earth. Now there's a foundation to the earth, and the heavens are the work of thy hands. Well, what are the heavens? Remember, God took an entire day, 24 hours, to create the firmament, and the firmament was called the heaven, right? But not only that, there are secret things that belong to God that he took time to build, and the firmament was one of them, and then also the heaven of heavens. There's the third heaven too. So God has heavens and heavens upon heavens, right? There was an interesting thing that I was reading today, and I just got a chance to read it. You know, not only was I talking to the kids about flat earth, but I happened to be getting in my car. And then when I got into my car, I discovered, well, you know, the elite, they want to send me something. Apple News sent this to me. And I was riding in my car and happened to see this on Apple News. Let me see if I can take you guys over to it. And just a moment here. And here we are, Apple News. So Apple News sent this to me. Said that a pilot passed out while flying a F-15 over Oregon. And here's what happened next. And this was in Popular Science. I thought this was interesting. What would happen? The fighter jet doesn't need to crash to suffer millions of dollars of damage. So it says here, in late March of 2019, in the military operation area over Oregon, a student pilot and an instructor were conducting a 2-aircraft training mission on basic fighters maneuvers. Each aviator was in their own F-18 jet. It was early afternoon, and the aircraft was about 18,000 feet, I suppose, in the air. And the student made a turn, and during that maneuver began to experience G-forces. About 6 seconds into the turn, those G-forces caused blood to travel downward from the pilot's head, and the student passed out. Wow. Isn't that something? Why do they call it G-forces? Are they talking about gravitational forces? I suppose they are. But really, basically, the plane was just moving too fast for this young man and caused his body to be shaken up so much that the blood left his head. 11 seconds later, after waking up, the pilot began to recover by putting his engine to idle and pulling up on the control stick. It was the correct course of action, according to the Air Force. But that maneuver subjected the jet to more stress than it was structurally designed to withstand. And it endured a phenomenon called over-G pull. The wing, tail, and fuselage were all seriously damaged by the incident, adding up to a cost of more than $2.5 million. I suppose $2.5 million in damages. The Air Force has still not decided precisely what to do with the aircraft. The F-15C models cost about $29.9 million. Why don't you just say $30 million? I don't know. Maybe that's 29.9 because that's 66 upside down to 266. I don't know. Anyway, and in 1998, that's what they cost in 1998. Can you imagine what they cost now? Both the F-15s landed safely, and neither pilot involved in the mission was injured. But the incident, it says the incident highlights the extreme forces that fighter pilots must manage as they operate high-performance aircrafts. The students experienced G-force, inducing a loss of consciousness, and I guess they got an acronym for it, GLOC. It says the Air Force Safety Center carefully tracks how often pilots pass out. In the last fiscal year of October 1, 2018 to 2019, there were 12 incidences, a small increase from the past year. The 10-year average, according to the Safety Center, is about 11 incidences per year. A majority of them involved students, and one in Oregon was the only event that caused damage. How about that? 5 of the 12 took place in F-16s, while the others occurred in training aircraft like the T-6 and the T-38, and one in the F-22. Isn't that something that they are passing out from these extreme forces when they do these maneuvers? If they turn too hard, too fast, or they do those turns, then their blood shifts in their body, and the blood goes out of their head into their feet. Well, what they have is they have some sort of way now. They have some suits. It's hard on you physically. That's what they say, basically. But they have some sort of suits that they can wear now. It's called G-suits. Fighter pilots have 2 major tools at their disposal to prevent them from passing out. And the first is a tight garment called the G-suit, which squeezes the aviator's legs and abdomen using air pressure like a blood pressure cuff. It connects directly to the jet itself so that the aircraft automatically determines when it is engaged and how much pressure to employ based on many G's the pilot is feeling. And the second is a muscle and breathing exercise called the anti-G straining maneuver. A pilot will flex and strain muscles in the leg, abdomen, and guts. Both of the suit and this technique that they use called AGSM work together, keeping the blood in the pilot's brain and core and preventing it from pooling down below. Because again, if the pilot were right side up, of course, since the pilot is right side up, then as they pull away, the weight of their bodies begins to go down, and the blood inside them just is pulled down by this tremendous force, this hard force of their weight, right? And they call it G-force because they say that it's caused by, I guess, gravity. That's what they're saying. Of course, we don't really believe in gravity. I don't really believe gravity is a thing. I had somebody challenge me on that and say, well, you're an idiot because you don't believe in gravity. Well, I was saying that I believe in weight, but I don't necessarily believe in gravity. As a matter of fact, one person who was on my stream was talking to me about that whole thing, about gravity. And he was trying to prove to me that you can have mass where the mass is different than the gravity or than the weight, right? And he was just talking to me about having mass. You can have large mass and you can have a small mass, and the small mass could be greater in weight than a large mass. Or he said basically it's really just the opposite, because the greater the mass, the greater the gravity. But I actually differ with that bit, because that's based upon pseudoscience, where you can actually take something and create an equation to match a hypothetical situation. So, okay, let's just talk about mass. So if mass is large, and then you have mass, the more mass you have, the greater the gravitational pull, according to the theory that has been built up on Newton's Newtonian law. So that then I'm going to assume that if you have like great mass, then you can the mass will actually grab you or pull you towards it. And that's what they're saying about the Earth, because the Earth is such a large mass. The Earth has a magnetic pull to it, and it pulls you right back. And that's what they say. And so they say that the sun's mass is even greater. So the mass of the sun attracts all of the planets to it, and then the planets rotate around the sun because of its mass. Because the sun is massive, right? Supposedly, that's what science says. I'm not saying that the sun is massive. I'm saying what science says. And I think they were saying that the sun could make the Earth, it would take 1,000 Earths to make up one sun. It would take the mass of 1,000 Earths to make one sun. I think that's what they were saying. Let's take a look at that. Okay. Oh, well, my goodness, I'm sorry about that. It would take 1.3 million Earths to fill up the sun. Oh, I am sorry. Well, I was really awful on that, wasn't I? I hope I'm not awful. But the point that I'm making is that the mass of the Earth is so much less than the mass of the sun that the sun's gravitational pull can actually cause all of the planets within the pseudoscience solar system to rotate around it, right? So you have the solar system, and the solar system is carrying around it all of the planets: Mars, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Excuse me. Oh, Lord. Crazy. Mercury, Venus. All of these planets they are rotating the sun because the sun is so massive, right? It's got so much mass. So they were saying the greater the mass, the greater the gravity. The lesser the mass, the lesser the gravity. And I was thinking that they were saying that the Earth was 1,000 times smaller, but really they're saying the Earth, according to pseudoscience, this stuff is not real, guys. But according to what they're saying and what they tell us that the earth is, let's see where we at. Oh, did I lose it? Okay, here it is. Go back. They were saying that the earth was 1.3 million. It takes 1.3 million earths to fill up the sun, and that's a lot of earths. The sun makes up 99.83% mass of the solar system. And it's giant planets like Jupiter and Saturn that make up most of its remaining. Now, here's the thing about this, though, guys. There's no such thing as gravity. Because what they're saying is that the mass of the sun actually causes all of the planets to rotate around it. I don't think so. So I'm going to flunk this test, because I'm going to take a test. And I'm going to take the test. And I'm going to say, I don't agree. And if someone put this on the test and asked me, Vincent, how many earths does it take to make the sun? I will say none, 0, because there is no such thing as the sun being that massive. As a matter of fact, you can look up in the sky and see that the sun is not 1,000,000 times larger than the earth. As a matter of fact, the sun is in the sky. It's only a light. That's all the sun is. As a matter of fact, they try to tell us that the sun is, what would they say, that the sun is 93 million miles away? No, that doesn't look like it's 93 million miles away, and it doesn't look like it's 1.3 million times the size of the earth. As a matter of fact, I've never seen the earth, so I don't know what the earth looks like anyway. I can tell you from scripture what the earth looks like. The Bible says that it had pillars, and then the Bible also said that it rests on foundation. Psalms 102, Psalm 75, Psalms 93. All of these say that the earth is a habitat. That's what it is. We live under a dome, and the sun is inside the dome. As a matter of fact, you can see that this sun here is in between the clouds. You see that? That sun is, well, it's not 93 million miles away, and it's definitely not larger than the earth. So all of this stuff that we call G-force and that kind of thing, all of that's just a bunch of malarkey. What happened to this pilot is that his body could not manipulate the turn, right? That's basically what happened. The pilot just passed out because it was his, the blood was shifted around in his body. The blood was shifted around his body, but it didn't have anything to do with gravity or G-forces. It really was his body just could not stand the maneuver. Because, his blood was shaking around. If you take me and put me on one of those, those rides that they have at the park and that kind of thing, well, you're going to have those things just jerk you around. And whichever direction it's jerking you around, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, here it is here. This is what I'm talking about. This thing here, these things here are designed to really, really give you an upset stomach.
Here at the Ozaki County Fair, where it is.
Okay, well, all right. YouTube, what do you got to say about that one? All right, so they're designed to give you an upset stomach. Let's see, centrifugal force causes inertia, right? Centrifuge. So that's what's going on. If you do this enough times, you can really have some ill effects on the body. That's basically what's happening. And you got this force pulling you out, this centrifugal force. And what is that force? It's your weight. It's the weight of your body. The object, it says the centrifugal force pulling the object away from the center is the mass of the object, and it says the velocity of the object and the radius. Well, I imagine that guy who was in that jet that's the same thing that happened to him. When he got to pulling on that stick and that thing doing a turn like that, he's going to pass out. Because that blood is going to leave his brain. But calling it G-force it's not helpful. Because we're connecting something to something that doesn't exist. G-forces don't exist. They are, gravitational forces, they want to say. If you want to say that gravity is weight and it only works in our atmosphere or solar system, that's fine. But the problem I'm having with G-force is the fact that when they talk about G-force, when we talk about G-force, we are always making G-force different in whatever place you want to. G-force is different on the moon than it is on the earth. How do we know that? Because science says so. Y'all get what I'm saying? So the moon is supposed to be 1/6 the gravity of the earth. I think that's what it is. I think. Gravity on the moon is 1/6 that of the earth, because I think the 1/6 is 1/6 the gravity of the earth, because the moon is supposedly 1/6 smaller than the earth. And the mass of the earth is what controls the gravitational pull. And so the larger the object, the greater the mass, the greater the gravitational pull. The less the mass, the less the gravitational pull. The problem I have with that is the fact that they can't prove it. Someone made a statement to me about that just yesterday, and I had to get rude with the guy, and I told him, I said, well, just prove it, man. Prove it to me that mass dictates how much a thing weighs. I don't think so. I think everything weighs the same. I think it weighs the same. If you could possibly even stand on top of the light that God made, which is called the moon, I think you'd weigh the same amount that you do right here on Earth. I don't think people are floating in space. I don't think they float. There's no such thing as floating in space. So if the gravitational forces, the G-forces, supposedly on this pilot were working so much against his body, what about those people on the ISS? They're trying to say that the people on the ISS are traveling 17,000 miles per hour. It makes absolutely no sense that they could travel that fast and not experience ill effects on their body. Now, okay, well then maybe not. Okay, then explain to me then what happens when a rocket takes off. Rockets with astronauts in them. G-forces. So how do they do this? Astronauts normally experience a maximum G-force of around 3 Gs during the rocket launch. This is equivalent to 3 times the force of the human are normally exposed to when on Earth and is survivable by passengers. Astronauts are trained in high G-force wear suits and must be correctly prepared. So if these guys are really taking off in these rockets, which I've yet to prove that too to me, if these guys are really inside these rockets, then they need to be passing out, because these G-forces that are coming against the body or should be really making them just fall out. Well, okay, if they did fall out, then what happens when they get in space? Okay, does G-force stop when they get in space? So you got the weight and the acceleration, and you got the forces of gravity pulling against the person in the space station. Not the space station here, this is the shuttle. Shouldn't they have like some sort of like ill effects on the body then? Just doesn't make sense, guys. So an orbit is formed by dropping, but yet in space you're not supposed to drop because there's not supposed to be any gravity. But they use it like they want to. They just say that you're dropping and you're not dropping. G-forces don't affect astronauts like they affect people in fighter planes. Ugh. I don't know, guys. That's what I'm talking about. This is really crazy and annoying. You know, I don't know. So anyway, yeah, I was talking about in the movies, they this is another thing. Hey, thank you for the super chat, whoever was. Let's see, I can't click on you and find out. But I was talking about this and the whole thing about, let's see if we can go somewhere. This is the movies. We were talking about the movies. And in the movies, there are very obvious signs that the people know that the earth is flat. Like, for instance, in Men in Black, you guys who saw Men in Black know that there was a conversation that went on between Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith that really just told it all. I mean, they were sitting there and they were having a conversation, and in the conversation there was a gaffe. Not even a gaffe, it was, there's Nate too, because Nate, don't forget about Nate, is we're having a conference coming up in April. It's going to be in Atlanta. So you guys get over to his channel, Nathan Roberts, and pick up your tickets. I'll be there at the conference for 2 days. So be good to talk to some of you guys personally. So let's not forget that. I just talked to Nate today too, you know. I was going to use him to talk about something else, but anyway, we'll get back to Nate. Anyway, so yeah, and well, let's see here. That was the one here in Will Smith. Let me see. And here, Men in Black. Yeah, so in Men in Black, there was a conversation that went on between Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith, and it was talking about the flat earth. And the line went something like this. People are, a person is smart, but people are dumb. You know. Right? And then that line went down in history. A person is smart, but people are dumb. People are dumb, panicky, and dangerous animals. And that's what Tommy Lee Jones made that statement. Then he goes into talking about they're panicky dumb, and it says that 1,500 years ago, everybody knew that the earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody knew that the earth was flat. Right. And that's... Now, what is the purpose of that line? Except to say in the very... in the movie that, yeah, they know that the earth is flat. They knew this. In this scene, they already know that the earth is flat. The people in Hollywood know this. But this is part of the Masonic world where, they don't tell you. They're not supposed to tell you. But this is like duping delight, where they have fun at sharing with you content and information. They'll have fun sharing information that's, I don't know what you could call it, information that they know is true, but pretend like it's not true. So it's hokery, it's kind of the joke's on you. We're going to put it in the movies and tell you straight out in the movies what this is about. We're going to pretend like it's not what it is. So that when what's the point? And Russian Vids made this statement. He said the reason they do this is because he said, what's the point in having all of this power over people and not be able to lord it over people and make them look like fools? So the whole idea behind the conversation between Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones here was to make us look like fools by sharing with us a truth in plain sight, so that we won't never understand it. The people who are watching this will never understand why this was said. People who are in the flat earth, on the other hand, they get mad about this stuff and they want to go over and tell their relatives about it. They want to tell their family. But then their family doesn't listen to them, and so it's even more frustrating because they're laughing in the background like, we pulled one over on them. And so Russian Vids say, what's the point in having all this money and power and influence over people if you can't flaunt it in front of their faces? And that's basically what they're doing in these movies here. They flaunt it in front of your face. They tell you the truth. And it's right there in plain sight. That people knew that the earth was flat, that the earth is the center of the universe. They tell you that in the movies, like what they were saying. This is what the conversation we're having. And then they tell you that we were alone in the universe and there's nothing else here. They even mention that in this movie. But the point in doing it was to reveal to the public that the elite already know what's going on. They control the movie industry, so they know what's going on, but then they pretend like they don't. And, did I say something? Well, yeah, you did. You said the earth was flat. Well, I didn't mean it like that. It just came out that way. And so they do this in movies all the time, and that's basically what they were doing there in Men in Black. So many movies are like that. Game of Thrones, right? In Game of Thrones, in season 3, they come to the ice wall. This thing is massive. Ice wall is higher than the Empire State Building, is higher than the Eiffel Tower. Eiffel Tower comes about here on the ice wall. It's higher than the arch. It's higher than any monument that we ever created, and there's an ice wall, a huge ice wall. So they show this ice wall in Game of Thrones, right? Same thing. They want you to know that they know. that there's an ice wall surrounding the Earth, right? And that the South Pole is what the ice wall is all about. It's basically it. And for those of you who don't know what the ice wall is, right? The ice wall is the wall that goes all the way around the Earth, right? And by the way, Google is in on it, trying to make sure that you don't see this stuff. But the ice wall is a real wall that is holding the water back, the waters of the Earth, and you have to climb up it to get on this big piece of land. I don't know whether you call it land or what do you call it? It's humongous. So you got this huge ice wall there that blocks everything in. But if people would go to the ice wall, it's a well-known fact that it is the South Pole, because the South Pole is not really a pole. The South it's just the south exterior wall leading to the edge of the dome. And so it appears like this. It's just a wall that goes all the way around the entire flat Earth. Well, who traveled it? Captain Cook, right? Captain Cook traveled around the ice wall. Traveled the perimeter, right? He traveled the perimeter of the ice wall. That's what he did. So he traveled the perimeter of this ice wall, and he never could actually make it around it. It was just unbelievably expansive. You know, this thing here going all the way around this thing, he logged something like 60,000 miles, and he never made it around this thing. So there's an ice wall that goes all the way around the perimeter of the Earth. This is what the Earth looks like. If we'll assume that the Earth has the sun and the moon inside up under the dome, and it would fix within the dome are the stars, and then down here is the Earth, and then we have water all around here, and then there's an ice wall, an outer rim that protects the protects the edges of the firmament, right? So they're at the edge of the world. There's Robbie Davison there. So there it is, guys. It's all here. It's all here. But you know, it's in the movies. So it's in the movies, and so they put it in the movies for the purpose of taunting it and flaunting it in our face. You know, they want us to know that they knew, but they don't want us to know so we can say what the Earth really looks like. They just want to be able to say later on that, well, we told you the truth in the movies, but you idiots didn't never catch on. That's just basically the way I see it there. So, hey, how you guys doing out here? Let me go over here. James Tucker, hello. Molten Looking Glass. And Rusa Trail, hello. Can't Cook. Wasn't like 65,000 miles he went for a year. Something like that. Janine Simone. You know, I don't know how to pronounce your name. You can't go around Antarctica. Yeah. And Rich Kyle, hello. The senator died. James Tucker, Wall of Glass. Yes. And Sam, how you doing? Richard E. Byrd was a U.S. admiral, not a senator. Yeah. James Tucker, again, hello. And Ron Reconnaissance, is that it? And it says we need mass awareness that man cannot create a law. We can only observe the law the Creator put in the heart of all of us. Yes. And from there, mass nonviolence, okay? Non-compliance with all that wear the title and costume. Well, yeah, we could stop voting, and we could stop just doing it, all of this stuff that they want us to participate in, and just go ahead and live our lives as if they didn't even exist. Stop watching their news broadcast and just kind of like resist. And we could do that, but you don't know. Tamika, hello. Tamika Smith. And, yep. And let's see, James Benson, hello. How are you? And let's see. Just say Nelly. Okay, all right. Okay, Nelly. Nella. Just say Nella. All right, good. And then I don't have to try to remember it's getting hot in here, which is corny. Ironwork, 92,000. I can't find this quite intriguing. But how can you explain low Earth orbit flight? Yeah, well, I mean, now we're back to the topic. Yeah. How can we explain low Earth orbit flight? Because the low Earth orbit is supposed to be microgravity. Oh man, these guys are nuts. And I saw somebody drop something in microgravity. I saw somebody drop something on the space station. I don't know. Here's the thing about Google. Google actually deletes stuff from the internet too. They actually take it off, where, anything that doesn't agree with the mainstream, then it doesn't. Now, this is not the International Space Station. This happens to be zero-G plane. But the International Space Station is supposed to be happening in lower Earth's orbit. And, but, this stuff here is not real. And they're supposed to be traveling at 17,000 miles per hour. They don't even look like they're traveling. They don't even have special suits on or anything. And I mean, what was the purpose in them even showing us the thing with let's see. Let's take a look at this one here. Oh man. No, there. This guy here, this scene right here. Well, I mean, what was the purpose of them showing us this here when they brought George Bush through George Bush went over to visit the NASA, and then the International Space Station was up on screen. And when it was up on screen, there's a guy walking the president through while they are filming the International Space Station. We've all seen this before, I'm sure. And this guy is doing a maneuver of weightlessness in the International Space Station, and in the reality of it, there he is against the green screen. He's supposed to be in outer space, but he's actually in a room filming the International Space Station. It just, I don't know. There's no such thing as zero gravity. And that's what I wanted to say too. That was the other thing. And I want to see if I can prepare how to say it. All right, here's what the guy was saying. The guy was talking to me about the mass of an object is different than the weight of an object. And that things can be massive without having weight. And I contend that in the other video that weight is a necessary property of our physical reality in which we live in. You cannot live in an environment without weight. If you did, everything in your body would cease to function because the necessary property of existence is weight. You have to have weight in order to live. And the reason God made weight, made things to weigh, heavy or light, was because in our environment, in order to live, it is absolutely necessary that you have weight. You cannot exist in a world without weight. So I'm to assume that when people get on the space station that they are automatically able to live without weight, even though their autonomics, circulatory system, their muscles, and all of their bodily functions depend, even elimination, peeing and using the toilet. How do you do this without weight? The turd that's in your gut has to drop out of your gut. There's no way for it to happen without weight. I don't understand how people could be so stupid. You can't pee without weight. The whole system of your endocrine system, everything, all of the systems of the body depend upon weight. So you're going to take yourself out in space in some kind of way. You're going to be in a weightless environment and be able, your body to be able to even regulate its blood pressure without weight. It would be impossible. Your heart would explode because it depends heavily upon the system of pumping fluid that moves up and down and back into the heart chamber. And all of that depends heavily upon the weight of an object. So you can't live without weight. But in the Newtonian view of the world in which they've created, you can actually go out of this world into another world, which would be spiritual in nature, and exist in a realm where there is no weight. And so they sit up here and they continue to try to demonstrate to us weightlessness, when there's no such thing as weightlessness. And they put this stuff on, like I said, they constantly put this stuff out there. The presidents know, and all of the different people of the earth who control the elite, they know that you can't live without weight. We just don't know it. We think that you can, but you can see right here, plain as day, as the former president was riding, being pushed through this NASA setup. It was just, you could see it off in the distance that a guy was actually on a CGI made up studio pretending to be in the space station, and everybody who is in on the jig is in this room controlling the minds of people. You know, they make them think that we live in a weightless environment and that you can possibly go to outer space and you're not going to weigh anything. And space is a hoax, right? Space itself is a hoax. You know, blue screen for manipulating graphic objects against a screen. That's exactly what was going on. Oh man, it's crazy. Yeah. You know, right, you're right. That would probably a big belly laugh. Yeah, it's crazy what's going on. But they know it, and the reason I say that they know it, they put it in all the movies. They show you in Game of Thrones. You know, Will Smith, they were talking about in The Men in Black that we live on a flat earth. They even showed it here in Hunger Games. There's the flat earth in Hunger Games, and there are the people around there. Then they put them in some sort of world here, simulated world. They show it in Hunger Games. They continue to show it. Let's see what other movie they showed it in. Let me go to the next movie. Where's the next movie? Oh, yeah. Well, was Westworld, right? And in Westworld, they showed it in Westworld. And as a matter of fact, they show so much of it in Westworld, you just kind of like say, well, wow. They just, it's like duping delight. They enjoy showing us the truth in plain sight, but they're not going to tell you verbally. They're just going to hang it out there for you guys to ponder, right? Because they want you pondering while they know it's true. And everybody, what? They know it's true. Oh, let's see here. And again, I'll talk to people who constantly tell me, well, no, it's not that they know it's true. These are just coincidences. No, in the movies, the movies are controlled. All of this stuff is controlled. So in Westworld, yeah, they had the same thing, where all of the people in Westworld were being shrunk down to be on this flat plane up under this dome. Well, this is what they're doing. This is deliberate. All this stuff is deliberate. So, they'll do it in these movies to, what are they doing? They're duping us. New Flat Earth show, Westworld. And they do it in the movies to, I don't know, that shows their superiority over us, that we're willing to believe in the globe, even though water doesn't stick to a ball. But they'll show it to us in the movies to show us that they're not stupid enough to believe that. But we are. When it comes down to it, our educational system. What was amazing to me, when I talk to those kids today, the kids just say, oh, yeah, the earth is flat. And I was like, wow, I hope the parents don't get upset with me because I never told them that. Because you have to really talk to the parents before you break into the mind of a child. You just kind of don't talk to them without the parent being there. At least have the parent there before you. Because, parents could probably get mad about that stuff, but then they just jump right out there. The kids told me the earth was flat. Well, they knew it was flat. I knew it was flat when they first told me. And then finally, the brainwashing took hold, and I was able to finally start believing what they were telling me about the earth being round. It took, and it was a delusion, but I remember when my teacher, Miss Sears, I can tell you, she started teaching science, and that was one of the first topics she approached. How the earth was round. And there was water sticking to the ball, and it was a gravitational force that was doing it. It was G-forces. But I can tell you right now, just to kind of like just sitting here just talking to you guys, there is no such thing as G-force. There's weight. But if we wanted to say that gravity is the weight of a person, then that's fine. But what they try to do when they say that gravity is a G-force is take it out of the context of it being weight. Because they want to say that gravity is controlled by the mass of an object. Okay, so the mass of an object is controlling the gravity. Well, that's not true. Because if that were true, then we would have every large object out there should have some sort of magnetic pull to it. You know, and there are very large objects out there. You know, I went, like I told you, I visited France and I went to the Eiffel Tower. And while I was at the Eiffel Tower, I would consider the Eiffel Tower a very large object. But it didn't have a pull on me. It wasn't gravitational. It was, you know, it was massive to look at. It was impressive. But at the same time, it didn't pull me. It would, you know. So they say the reason these things don't pull you down is because they really are not massive enough. But once it reaches a certain massive level, then it begins to pull you. That's what we're supposed to believe. All this stuff is confusion, though. They just keep on making up stuff. Nella, you're saying, wake up, wake up, wake up. Yeah, that's the only reason I'm talking about this. I keep on talking about it to make people wake up. Yeah, you know, I don't know. And it says EMB. You said that the earth is flat and there are cities surrounding the ice wall. Wouldn't that be wonderful that, you know, you get past the ice wall and you would actually run into cities and other green land and places that could be inhabited? Maybe that's where the elite are actually going to actually stay. They keep talking about they're going to get ready to leave this earth and go to Mars. Maybe they're going to go on the other side, past the ice wall and pass all the ice and get to the green part and go stay there, because it's more room there than more space there than it is here. We really don't know how large this earth is, and what's happening, the shame of it is that these people who are in control of these movies and Hollywood and the elite and all these people control the news and control the school system have actually taken part of our life away by closing realms of existence off to us so that we won't know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about where we live and what we are, what's ours as human beings. You know, in the meantime, what they keep trying to tell us is that we're overpopulating the earth, when they know for a fact that the earth is not overpopulated. You can look out among the grasslands of the United States right now, and there are places that are totally uninhabited. The Great Plains of the United States, I'll ride across there and there are places I won't see a soul for miles. If you ever rode out the Great Plains, I mean, but if you're in the inner city, you wouldn't know it. And you were just watching that black screen, that black mirror that you have on your wall, you would not know it. What they have, the black mirror on our wall, is for programming. It's to shape your reality and to keep you locked into a certain mindset. That's all they're doing. They're just trying to shape your reality, and that's basically what's going on. I don't know. And we have to learn to really break out of the dream reality. Cody Price, you said, didn't y'all see? Let me see, what are you saying, Cody? Cody Price says, didn't you see the propaganda video released by the Celebrate Truth? Y'all need to watch. It is really good. There is so much deception on TV. Yeah, right. I'll go over there and check it out, Cody. I'm sure it's good. Because there's too much propaganda on TV. It's just all they do. If we allow TV to shape our minds, you will never know what is available to you as a human being and what God actually has given us, and what they're hiding from us and what they're keeping from us and what they don't want us to know about. Now, I'm telling you, I'm afraid to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm not talking about people who need to use medication, and I'm not talking about medical marijuana, but I think the United States and the countries of the world want us all on drugs. I think so that we will not break out of this reality. They want us all high, and so that we won't be able to think. Because what do they do? And when you go to a hospital and you get the men in the white coats come, the men in the white coats at a psych ward will feed you drugs until you are stoned out of your mind and you don't know where you are or what you're doing or anything, and they can lead you around and make money off of you without actually, they're collecting checks off of you without actually, they don't have any problem with you as long as you stay medicated. And so today I'm telling you, it was so crazy. They lined up for a little bag of weed here in Illinois. And they were lining up for bags of weed. And I'm telling you, they were paying $300 for a bag of weed. I said, what happened to the nickel bag? $300. And there was a line all the way down the street into the highway. And not on top of that, they were getting weed at $300, and they were charging something like an upcharge of $40 for the state of Illinois taxes or something like that, in addition to the weed and the regular tax that they pay. I think it was something like a surcharge of $40. And people were willing to pay it. Also, that they can go home, sit down and watch their Black Mirrors, their TVs, and get stoned out of their mind. So what are we going to have? We're going to have a bunch of folks that's all broke. Yeah, wait, what happened in the nickel bag? Right, $5. Yeah, I agree, Ironworks, but they don't let you sell it for $5. They upcharge that price way extravagant. So, all right, I understand some people want to just feel good. I understand that, want to go to sleep. But the Lord said we need to be awake and sober, man. Don't you want to go over there, that ice wall, and go over there and see that green stuff? Man, it would be nice. If we stay awake, we can get out of here. I'm just saying. Oh, man. And then all of these drugs, they just got us on drug after drug after drug after drug, man. It's in the water. The drugs are in the water. Did you know that the drugs are in the water to actually, they have all of these antidepressants in water, to make us a little bit more calmer. And they say it's really in there accidentally. But I don't know about that. I think those drugs actually make people a little bit more docile. Docile means that we are controllable. And I think that's what they really want to do. I don't know. Just my thought on the whole idea. You guys can think what you want to do. Go get your $300 bag of weed. That's what they were selling it. I'm telling you, that line was all the way down the street. I'm going to film it. I'm going to film it on the news and let you see it. Here in Illinois, we got people coming from Missouri all the way over to Illinois to buy a bag of weed for $300. A little bag of weed too. I don't smoke weed. Never have. Sorry, guys. I don't. I'm sorry. I've never have. I'm just telling you, I don't know. Let me see here. I'm gonna get off this because I'm finished talking. But here it is here. I'm finished talking. Everybody was in line for weed. Because, they're selling it recreational, right? So nearly $3.2 million of legal weed was sold in Illinois on the first day. Sales marketing, one of the strongest showing in history of marijuana legalization. So the people were all lined up for the weed there. And they were buying it, man. So, all right, then what are you going to do with your weed? Okay, so you're going to go home. You're going to smoke your weed. You're going to feel good. You're going to watch your TV. You're going to forget about NASA. You're going to forget about the flat earth. You're going to forget about everything. You'll forget about the world that we live in, that God is watching us, that he's looking down from heaven and he's seeing the whole thing. The eyes in the heavens, you're going to forget about all of that. You're not even going to pay attention to some silly show like Westworld where they show you the flat earth. You're just going to live in the world that they want you to live in, just like in The Matrix when that guy said, I don't care about anything else. All I want to do is just be happy. And that's basically what you are saying when you just say, just knock me out. Knock me out. I don't care if they're lying to me. They can steal all the money they want. That's basically what most people are saying. That's the way I feel. Oh, what do you say? The dime bag costs a dime? What? I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't. I'm sorry. I just hear people talking about it, and it's kind of funny to me. I know I'm addicted to other things. I'm not addicted to drinking and smoking weed or nothing like that. So I thank God for that. But I'm not clean. I have my own things that I need Jesus to help me on, right? And I just pray every day that Jesus keeps me near the cross. That's all, And you guys too, the same thing. I'm sure that you guys are doing the best you can do. Even if you smoke weed, it doesn't mean you're going to hell. It's just, again, the Lord wants us to be sober minded. That's all I'm saying. And, so it's a product that the Lord put here for a purpose. And I don't think the purpose is to just get us to, forget about everything. I think if we're sober-minded, we can really think. And I think that's what they want. I don't think they want us thinking no more. They want to control us to the point that we become like some people in a psych ward where they give us our medication. You get your vaccines, you get your weed, and you go to sleep. And I think that's basically what they would like to do with us. Get your vaccines, get your weed. Here's some, we got some more medication for you. Get all your medication, and just go to sleep. Just go to sleep. That's really it. Now, like I said, if I was in the hospital, like what you're saying, Mallet, if I was in the hospital, or if I had to endure great pain, yeah, give me something to get rid of the pain. My mom and dad are in their 90s, and it's hard enough for my father to put his shoes on, so he get his shoes on, and he'll get in his truck, and he'll still get out there and work every day. And he drives every day, too. It's amazing. But I know he has a great struggle with pain. I'm thinking, CDB or whatever that is, CBD, whatever that stuff is. Anyway, I think yeah, give him something, to help him. And there are a lot of people who need stuff to help them deal with the pain that they're in. But for you guys who are young and y'all have strong bodies and that kind of thing, you need to stay awake, because you got children to raise, you got families to take care of, and you can't take care of it high. You can't take care of your kids high. And, I understand people, is dealing with a lot of stress. and depression and that kind of thing. I'm not talking about you neither, but again, the Lord wants us to stay sober, when it comes down to it. Just recently, I had to start taking some medication too myself. I was a pseudoephedrine. I think I had. Went to the doctor the other night, and I have clogged up in my throat and that kind of thing. So they were telling me the way to get rid of it was to kind of dry it up with some. I forget what the name of that stuff, Allegra or something like that. So I do believe in drugs. But the point that I'm making is that, we need to make sure that we are doing the things that God wants us to do. Yeah, coffee too. There's another thing that I'm addicted to. How about that? Okay, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Just wanted to share with you guys about these movies and then just some of this other stuff that I was checking out. Don't forget, guys, check me out at all avenues. I'm on Facebook. I'm at Patreon. And then also don't forget to check out my website at Truth Set Free. And what I really try to do with this website, trying to get it to start registering on Google. So the more people actually visit it, the better it is. When more people visit it, then it begins to trend on Google. And that's what I'm trying to do, is make the website trend on Google. So if you guys go in, make some comments, also sign up for my email list and that kind of thing on the website. It's always a help when you do that, Don't forget to get over there, and if you haven't bought your book, Graven Image, Why the Earth is Not a Globe, go ahead and purchase it and leave a good comment, please. It would really be helpful. I think it's still, I think it went on sale at one time. I said it for going on sale around $6. I'm not really sure if that sale is over, but it went back up to $9. Either way, the digital version is for sale around $3. So it's really not going to break the bank in order to go and get that too. So I appreciate all the help, you guys, and I'll see you a little bit later on the next time. Remember, until next time, that Jesus is the light of the world, and the truth will set you free. You guys have a good night. God bless.